Hello everybody and welcome to the second round of the Tail Racing Ring Runners here in Season 9. It's the HPD coming up second of all, one that we haven't had in the last couple of seasons. I personally am very much looking forward to having it. It's myself, Ian O'Leary, and Judge Parfitt alongside me again for round 2. It was a good start to the season as Rick Putnam and Evan Cratwell battled away for lap after lap. Eventually, Cratwell won the race, but what an opening we had to the season, and looking forward now to round 2 in these HPDs.
Yeah, that was a very spicy, wasn't it? It was quite interesting, because there was so much happening before the end of lap 1. And then kind of settled down for lap 2. It got a little bit spicy in 3, and then 4 just went a little bit mental with Putnam spinning towards the last corner. It was all a bit hectic, to be honest. And then they had fuel saving involved, which I found out was actually a thing in the FF1600s on the longer layout. So we had people in the pits that was shocking us all, and it was all a bit up in arms for round 1. But this one might be a little bit cleaner. Should be a little bit, how can we put it, calmer, should we say?
Well, maybe, but any accidents you have in these cars are going to be at a much higher speed, I've got to say. Putnam didn't win the race and hold off Evan Cratwell, but he did get the fastest lap. So he's actually got more points than Evan Cratwell after round 1. Then Corey Stas, who's third, Dave Hernandez, Dean Dilch, Dave Mull and Dan Kosick. Jason Hightower didn't do enough laps to be classified and so had his race points wiped away. He's still on 0, as is Matt Green, who wasn't here. Pat Mesh won in the AMS, and he's got 5 points over Tim Wadshow, who has also got 5 over Chase Petterjohn. Scott Sadler is 4th, tied for 3rd. Stephen Johnson, Houston Elliott are tied for 5th. Jerry Bender is 7th, and Dylan Hessling. AJ Condon wasn't here. Actually, Sereno didn't complete a lap, and so he got his race points taken away. Pat LaBrosse has taken the second pole position of the season, ahead of Jason Hightower, who hopefully he's going to have a better time of things today. Evan Cratwell and Rick Putnam are going to go back into battle, but this time from row 2. Scott Sadler won in the AMS last time out with Dave Mull. Won in the qualifying session, I should say. Didn't win last time out. He's alongside Dave Mull. Then Pat Mace, who did win. John Amico is in 8th ahead of Matt Green and Corey Stas. Didn't set times. Neither did Dean Dilts, Dave Hernandez, Dan Kosick, Stephen Johnson, Chase Petterjohn, or Dylan Hessling. And so they're at the back. But they're on their way now on their formation, part of a lap. And they will be ready to race in a few moments' time. But good to have Pat LaBrosse back again.
He cut out probably from a little moment there, Mr. O'Leary, but hopefully he should be all good and everything will settle down once more for you. The wonderful world of the internet. Yeah, it's good to have Pat back and in that nice little black and gold liveried machine there as well. Looking very beautiful indeed on that one. John Player special livery, I thought it was. So it looks absolutely amazing. But his cars do look really good, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I really like these. I think they're early 2010s or late 2000s IMSA sort of prototypes. Don't quite be on that, but that's what I think they are anyway. But they've been around iRacing for a long time. If any of these drivers have been around iRacing for a very long time, they will know their way around this car, especially if they are into sports car racing. So maybe Pat LaBrosse has got that to his advantage here today. Here we go, on board. Have a look. Bit of a squeeze through here, by the way. They're a bit wide. It's a bit narrow through there. But anyway, the pace truck is going to pull in now, and Pat LaBrosse is soon going to be in control of the field. Putnam decided to, Cratwell, I should say, to wait a very long time in round 1, but we're not waiting around here. It's time for round 2, and the Tail Racing Ring Runners, and Pat LaBrosse gets us underway with a firing start ahead of Jason Hightower. Then Cratwell, who's looking on the inside line on the way towards turn number 1 here. He's going to break pretty late to try and get it as well, and he's going to make it, by the looks of things, into the second position. Here we go through the stadium section for the first time in a round. Has got a few drivers. Dave Hernandez is amongst them. Hightower as well from second, so there must have been contact with Cratwell there. Hightower now down to the back, and for the second race in a row, he's had an incident through the stadium section in the opening lap.
Yeah, Corey Stas made it through on that one as well. Patrick Misek in front also had an issue. Went a little bit wide again, as per normal. We'll have a look back at that start earlier on. Hightower now running alongside Stephen Johnson. They're even at one point nearly 3 wide. There, Scott Sadler looks like he sat in the gravel trap at the same time. So a lot going on as per normal here on lap number 1. But Matt Green sitting in 3rd place in the black machine with Dean Dilts behind him in that pink one there as well. But bad start for Hightower, who's going to make his way through the order.
He's going to have to. He's down to 13th, but he's only got the speed. He's only 6 tenths off the pole, actually, over a lap as long as this. He's surely well placed to do well here. Stas in the background, side by side with Putnam. 6th place, you wouldn't expect to see those two fighting for 6th, but Stas has made up another position as he was doing in round 1. Actually, he was probably the quickest driver in the field, to be honest, and he's already made up 4 here on this opening lap after qualifying down in 10th because he didn't set a time in the qualifying session. He's going to be catching up to the train now being formed by Matt Green, who's got Dean Dilts right in behind him. There's Hightower, he's already back to 12 after being 16th after turn 1.
Yeah, he's just past John Amico. We'll start going in now. This is where the interesting part's going to happen. Too wide is never going to be good with Matt Green there. It settles in the end behind Dean Dilts. Dilts does get the position away from them. So they're going to start making their way forward. Krautfeld is not too far off the back end of Labros, but he is far enough where that toe may be a little bit of an issue. Dave Hernandez, of course, down in 10th place, was fuel saving frantically in race number 1. He's got Patrick Misek, funny enough. Dave Burton, he was following in race 1, right in front of him again.
If he just likes following Pat and just thinks, well,
I don't know.
I'm going to stay behind you because you're a safe driver, so let's just stay here. Well, I'm sure that's not true, but it is bizarre that it's happened twice in 2 rounds already. Here is Stas, meanwhile. He is flying right now, and, well, he's going to try and get past Mull. Oh, it's a squeeze on the right side. Oh, dear, was there contact there? Very close, anyway, if there wasn't. And Stas is up into 5th place. Good overtake in the end. Green has held on from Dilts, who he was fighting with further back in the train. No change back here. Putnam still very much stuck in the group actually here, but that was dangerous there for Stas. And very nearly a very big crash, but he's up into the top 5 now.
Yeah, he's making his way forward. He's got Dilts 1.4 up the road. Dilts, of course, here battling with Green through the long left-hander. Then they're going to turn right again. It's going to be quite interesting because you say these cars are quite wide. Oh,
he's
no!
Gone. Das has gone. He's got up on that curb on the exit of Adnan Forster, and hopefully he hasn't grabbed the wall too hard. Let's see. Oh, does it look okay? No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's not difficult to damage this car, to be honest with you. And so he is going to be, for the 2nd round in a row, going to make a pit stop that he wasn't hoping to. I mean, as you say, last time out in the FF1600, some of them will have had to, but Stas did because he had damage primarily. He's going to have to do it again for the 2nd round in a row.
Yeah, he's fortunate well enough in race number 1, wasn't it? In round number 1, pretty much all the field pitted, bar about 3 or 4 drivers. But unfortunately on this one, it doesn't look like he's going to be having that luxury. He's going to have to try and fight his way to get that car to the end. He's now back behind John Amico. Kosik's gone through. Hightower, Hernandez is still here with Patrick Meach in front. Chase Petterjohn now tucked in right behind them. So this is a 3-car fight. I'll be interested to see how Hightower goes. He's been driving very aggressively over the first part of lap 1 after his earlier incident, which we'll have a look back at the end. But it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive he wants to be.
It's going to be very interesting indeed as they make their way through Bergwerk now. You just noticed the higher speed than what we had in the first round. It's quite remarkable, really, the difference in the pace. Already up to 150 miles an hour before we've even got to Kesselton. Although straight line speed is not primarily this car's forte, you do have a number of different downforce settings that it would be interesting to see what these drivers have gone for with regards to that. Hightower seems to be very quick in a straight line. Oh, that's a squeeze. These cars quite wide as well. Be careful through the McCurver. Oh, going side by side. Goodness me. Hernandez didn't want to give that up at all. And Hightower eventually had to back out on the outside line.
Yeah, Dave was like, nope, you're not having that position away, mate. I'm coming at you, and if you're on my outside line, you're going in the wall. So great job there from Dave. He literally got a big brave there and pushed Hightower as much as you can, trying to stay in the carousel. You want to make sure you're in it. You don't want to do what Dan Kosick just did and popped out. Unfortunately, he's lucky he's got 5.5 seconds over a very broken Corey Stas. But Hightower there, well, and Hernandez doing a great job. Just lost John Amico. He's just had a little bit of a moment. We'll have a look back at that a little bit later as well. But a great job from these guys. And yeah, the car does look a little bit of an handful, but does look quite interesting to drive.
I think it's a fantastic car. By the way, I said it was an IMSA prototype. It wasn't called IMSA back then. I forgot. It's called American Le Mans Series, but you got the idea.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to wall!
Hightower's gone. He's broken his front right wheel as well. It's come off, I'm afraid, and Jason Hightower is going to be back to pit lane very soon. That is a big shame as he was going through the difficult sections towards the end there through Brunchen, or Vipperman it was actually. He's gone off now fully and he's going to return back to the pit lane, I would imagine, before long. A big shame for the driver who was on the front row. Missed out on pole by just half a second, and all of a sudden he's limping back to pit lane with no front right tyre.
Yeah. And John Amico at a moment coming out. I thought he was going to slide straight into him there as well. Hesselink goes through. Sadler goes through. Patrick Meese is still there. David Anders following him once again. So these two literally stuck together like Velcro over rounds number 1 and 2. But a great job from all of them as well. And I do wonder whether or not you could have a passenger.
You'd have to have a very thin one. I mean, look at that gap there. That's
Hey,
maybe a child.
You know,
Maybe you take your kids to school in it, or one kid. But other than that,
I've only got one to take to school, mate, and that's my little lady. Other than that, the two boys walk to school on their own, to be honest. This is only up the road. But, yeah, I'd love to put them in that. Imagine that, driving a little 7-year-old to school.
Getting out of the car park probably a bit of a nightmare, but I can't imagine the turning circle is very good. Hernandez in the slipstream, meanwhile, of Mesh, who's actually in the slipstream of Petron. He's coming up to him very quickly indeed. Petron has got no straight line speed. Oh, dearie me. Petron there needed to take some downforce off his car before the evening began, I feel, because Mesh and Hernandez have cruised past him there. I mentioned the different downforce settings, are sort of presets, if you like. You don't have to tinker with it yourself, but you decide high, low or medium, and I'm afraid Pedron has chosen too high, whatever he's chosen, and Mason Hernandez have barreled past him there. I don't think he's got damage, but my goodness, he was slow in a straight line. Amico, Sadler and Hesselink are also going into the final corners, absolutely nose to tail. You'd imagine Scott Sadler will be at the front of this group before long.
Yeah, we've Sadler passed Hesselink, Hesselink passed Sadler, Sadler got him back again, and David Anders has just passed Patrick Meese. So there we go. So Dave has finally managed to get through in this round, unlike round number 1 where he could not get through. But these guys still having a great battle. Sadler's just cleared Amico. Hesselink's just going to dive up the inside as well.
They are exchanging positions.
Yes.
Like kids exchange cards or whatever. Yeah, it's,
do they still do that?
I didn't, but you know. Oh, gravel's all over the circuit. So don't worry if there's smoke everywhere. It's not smoke, it's gravel dust. Someone's gone off and been annoying and come back on again because the gravel's all over the circuit there, I'm afraid, at turn 5 and 6. It's slightly annoying, I've got to say, but thankfully most of the North Cypher doesn't have any gravel. It's only the Grand Prix circuit where we're going to have to deal with the cloud of smoke. It's going to look like a misty day now on the Grand Prix circuit. Here goes Petterjohn. You can see how much faster he is through the corners, by the way. He's either gone high downforce or medium, where these guys have gone low. I suspect actually it could be as dramatic as Petterjohn's gone high downforce and the two ahead have gone low. But you could just see the way he's going through the corners, even with the dirty air, which is not insignificant in this car. He's cruising up to the back of these guys.
Yeah, I do wonder as well, because obviously there's a certain preset and then they've got open, haven't they? They've got open setups. So I do wonder how much they've tweaked it or adjusted it or whatever Jace has done. It clearly, he's gone the wrong way. That's the problem. Great through the stadium, rubbish through the rest of it. You know, so I think at the end of the day, he's going to struggle with some of the high straightaways, obviously to run down into Arenberg, the dotting a hoe as well, and then that run up from Bergwerk. And then he's just going to be a sitting duck and it'll be adios. So, yeah, not quite sure Petterjohn's gone the right way on the setup.
Well, I think over one lap it might actually be quicker, especially for his comfortability as well. It's definitely quicker. However, you're just going to struggle to overtake anybody, and you're going to get overtaken quite often as well if you do this. So it's could be a difficult afternoon, I'm afraid, for Chase Petterjohn, as we now go over the bridge just before Flugplatz, and look at that, even in the slipstream, we're getting nowhere here. It's a flat-out corner here anyway, this one, through Flugplatz, because there's so much downforce, even in the low preset. These cars do generate so much. So in the slipstream, it's not so bad, to be honest. He's staying with them, sort of. Maybe not.
No, we're back out half a second here, Mr. O'Leary. I'm not quite sure what car you're looking at, but it's not that one. Well,
it's not that one. It was going all right, but then it was not going all right anymore. And look at Kosick as well, by the way. Kosick's now within a second. This could be very difficult now for Petterjohn, with Dan Kosick and Corey Stas looking to take his place. Corey Stas hasn't been in pit lane. He's persevering with that damage.
Yeah, it depends on how drastic. The problem is sometimes it's actually not that difficult to drive with a damaged wheel. There are cars at certain points that feel better, like that's like trucks, for instance. If you drive trucks at ovals, if you've hit a wall, all of a sudden your car does kind of feel a little bit more stable, which it sounds bizarre, but it actually is true. And maybe Stas just isn't struggling with that damage. Maybe it's made the car not actually that bad to handle.
Yeah, let's see. I find that hard to believe, to be honest.
Mate, honestly, I've driven races where my truck, I've hit the wall, and then all of a sudden I've been the fastest man on the race circuit. It's very bizarre.
I don't find that difficult to believe. I find it difficult to believe that this car is better now that he's damaged it. that's the thing that I'm not believing. Oh dear, Pear John's gone off, I'm afraid. It looked like he just locked up, to be honest, with the smoke, but no, he went for a proper spin there. So it's now Kosick who's next in line to try and overtake Pat Mace. This is Green in Dilts, meanwhile, fighting for the last spot on the podium. And Green's gone a bit wide there. Dean Dilts is going to have a good chance here. Again, it's a bit of a squeeze, to be honest, getting through this this section side by side in these rather wide HPDs, but even more difficult when Dean Dilts hasn't got the straight line speed. It's not as dramatic as the battle we were seeing earlier, but he's clearly one set lower, is Green, than Dilts, because look at that. That's a big difference.
Again, I don't think you realise, some people at home, what setup does and how important it is, especially with cars like this. You've seen it with Petterjohn. You can see it there with Green and Dilts. You know, Green's managing to pull away, and that kind of shouldn't happen with the draft and everything else, and the downforce that these cars generate, especially the speed of these cars. So technically, the setup has played a massive part for these guys. Now, obviously, you know, there is a setup area in the Discord that you might be able to go and think, oh, I'm going to borrow that or whatever, and have a tweak around with it. But I think what some of these have done, they've tweaked definitely the wrong way.
It's very interesting, actually. And I quite like a car like this where iRacing just says, how much downforce do you want? And I just say, this much. And it just does it for me. It's quite nice, to be honest. But I understand that not everyone will appreciate that, especially. Hesselink looks like he's gone back to pit lane, by the way, joining Jason Hartshire and Stephen Johnson as drivers who've pitted so far. Although Johnson, is he out the... No, he's not out the race, excuse me. He's just a long way back, very long way back, in 15th place. But Hesselink is joining him, having made a tow back to pit lane. Those two are the only ones who have done that here so far today. Pat Labrosse is still leading by just 1.4 seconds ahead of Evan Crowell, but he's being pushed at the moment. Gap is not big at all, and Crowell again is in that second position, looking to try and snatch that race win away from whoever's in the lead, like he did last time out. Ooh. Meanwhile, Green all over the place, and look at that, Dilts! Oh, goodness! Down the inside there through at Straubentrans before the step of Bellafest. That was unbelievable. A big squeeze, and somehow he's managed to get up to third place. And further back down the field, battle for 7th place also going on as well. Dave Hernandez leading this group with Pat Mays, Dan Kosick, Corey Stas as well, trying to come back through the field. One of the pro drivers, of course, out of position just for the moment. Oh, and off in front of him, Pat Mays has gone off. He's just, I think, run wide into the gravel on the outside of that corner just before the smaller carousel, and he's found himself in the wall on the left-hand side. A very easy mistake to make, and unfortunately he's dropped out of the pit lane. As always, we'll have a look at the incidents themselves afterwards. The slipstream will be a big factor down here on the way down in towards the Tiergarten for the second lap. It looks like Dan Kosick has got a good straight line speed compared to Stas, who's got far too much downforce on, as there's a change between Green and Dilts further up front. That's Green getting through into third place. Oh, well, briefly it is. Green's gone off, though. He's spun up the rear tyres. He's back down to 4th again. Yeah,
they've been swapping places a couple of times. You've seen the move from Dean Dilts earlier on, where he managed to get past Green. And now Green has gone back past again. That was down the dot in a hoe. And now Dilts has managed to clear him off. One battle that's not relinquishing at this moment in time is the Dan Kosick, David Hernandez. Now, we do think Stas has got some higher wing or something, because his straight line speed is really quite poor. We've gone on to lap 3. This has only got a couple of laps to go now. And hopefully we might see whether or not these guys are going to come back together. But Hernandez, Kosick and Stas not far apart on lap 3.
Yep, they are battling away, and Stas is going to have to make the difference now in the Grand Prix circuit or somewhere before there's another long straight. Otherwise, he will be struggling again. It looks like he has got a lot of downforce on. Through into the left-hander, they'll come at turn 5 here. He looks up the inside, but he just loses out on the straights. Far too early. Pat Labrosse is still leading, by the way. Gap just come under a second, though, between he and Evan Crutward. Further up front, in fact, it's tumbling down at the moment. Bross going pretty slowly. Crutward is crawling all over the back of him as they go towards the kink on the back straight on the Grand Prix circuit, and he's got it by the looks of things. Evan Crutward through on Pat Labrosse, who has been losing a lot of time in very short order. It must have been a slowdown, because that's the only reason I can think of, really. He hasn't gone off the road from what we've just seen there. But Evan Crutward is in the lead again now, passing Pat Labrosse, the pole sitter for this round.
Yeah, we'll have a look back at the overtake, but I think Labrosse must have had a slowdown there because he lost an absolute chunk of time. Stas and Kosick side by side at the moment, running up into the left-hander. He's on the inside line. Stas, he's going to have to be big and brave. Kosick's going to get him just about to enter into Nords itself. Stas needs this overtake done before they get onto the straight, otherwise he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. He does get the job done. Kosick almost looks like he gave it to him, but he is leading, you know, he's ahead of Scott Sadler. He's got 11 seconds ahead, and at the moment, Corey Stas' high wing and grip that he's got in the wiggly bits seems to benefit him, but we'll see how he gets on the straightaway we've got coming up very shortly on the rundown into Arenberg.
Corey Stas third in the opening round of the championship in the FF 1600, so he needs to get up the order a little bit compared to where he was the last time round, because Evan Crutward's right up in the top 3 at the moment. He finished first, he's second in the championship behind Rick Putnam, who's 6th just for the moment. Down the hill they go through the Fuchsrow now and towards Adnar Force. This is a bit of an easier section than it was in the FF 1600, where we saw people piling off at one stage. Through here, the downforce really helping through here. On board we go. It's a wonderful car to drive, by the way, the HPD. I don't think I've said enough how much I enjoy it. It's fantastic, planted to the ground. Feels like you can't get it unstuck at any point, although Pat Moose just did earlier on, so it is possible. Through Metzgersfeld now for Pat Labrosse. Just a little bit of a lift off there through that fast left-hander, and then steeply on the brakes in towards the next left. Just clipping the curb on the right-hand side, getting a little bit wayward, actually, onto the grass on the left-hand side. Now through the right-hander and up on the curb, and Grover's gone into the wall, just up in front of us through Callanhard. Evan Crutward, after leading this race, has gone straight into the wall. He's got up on the curb on the outside line, and that is that for Evan Crutward's race.
Yeah, Crutward there, big mistake. You saw him run onto the curb on the outside as well. That was always going to be dangerous. If he's accelerating on that curb, that was going to be the outcome, without a shadow of a doubt. Everybody has now bumped their way forward. Dean Dilt sitting in second, Matt Green third, Mole fourth, Putnam in fifth. He's on board as we're looking at him now with chasing down Dave Mole, but that was always going to happen for Crutward. Accelerating on a curb here, never a good idea. It doesn't matter what car you're in. Could be this one, could be the FF 1600, could be the Mazda, could be a GT3. It doesn't matter. If you accelerate on the curb at certain points here, you are going to be in trouble, and that's exactly what happened to Evan Crutward. Well,
these cars are very, very low to the ground, and you want to avoid the curbs anyway, to be honest with you. But anyway, it's especially the case in this. Oh, look at that!
Quite scary, isn't it? That's what we look like in the car.
I don't think I've ever seen into the eyes of the iRacing man before, but there he is.
There we go.
Do you get to customise your man these days?
No, you don't. You just get whatever they give you. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd be like 6'3", built like a tank. You know what I mean?
Head poking out the top.
Head poking out the top, yeah, rather than, well, apparently, according to me doctor, I've shrunk 3 centimetres this year, so I'm like under 6 foot now. Yeah, apparently so.
What have you been doing?
I have no idea. Sitting on my bum doing commentating. I guess
Curling up into a ball often, have you been?
I don't really know. Literally, she said to me, she goes, Mr. Parfitt, I said, yes. She said, you've come down from 185 centimetres to 182. I said, thanks, Doc. Am I still 6 foot? She was like, in and around just about. So I'd make myself taller and a little bit bigger.
You'll be doing stretches in the morning and all sorts now.
Oh, mate, I've got the missus winding me up on a cogwheel.
Anyway, meanwhile, This battle for fourth is still going on. It is the closest on the circuit, although Corey Stas is catching Dave Hernandez. He's going to get minced on the straight, probably, so that might not last too long. Putnam, though, closing in into this final section now, where Mull is pulling away. Maybe we've got a bit of a downforce battle going on here as well between Mull and Putnam, who doesn't seem to quite have as much downforce at the moment, but if Mull doesn't get far enough away, then he will be overtaken.
Yeah, he will. He's going to have to try and get away on before they get to the dot and go home, of course. This Stas Hernandez has come down, but this is kind of always expected in in sort of, I want to say wiggly bits, but the corners, basically, before we get onto the dot and go home. Then you've got the run down into Arenberg, and then from Bergwerk up, of course. So I do expect if Hernandez can... Oh, God. No, don't do that. That's going to be very tight.
Have to, really. He sort of has to make a daring move like that if he wants to go through here, otherwise he's going to get rinsed on the straight. So this is going to be interesting. But Corey Stas, up over the hill they go, now in towards the Stefan Belafes, which is flat out completely in this car, and then Schravenschratz, but at this high speed, Hernandez is going to be a little bit quicker, now in towards the corner where Pat Mace just went wide and crashed a lap ago. Stas actually clipped the inside curve there, which isn't a good sign, but he's got away with it into the small carousel. He's got a good run. Oh, he's just slid though. Just a bit of oversteer there at the wrong moment, and he can't quite get through.
Yeah, he's going to have to see what he can do here. I don't really know if Hernandez is... You can see the gaps opening up already, and we're not even on the straight. Hernandez was wild.
Yeah, very wild. He had some oversteer to correct, and normally when you're having to do that, you're in big trouble in one of these cars, but he's got away with it in the slipstream. Stas is going nowhere. Putnam is closing in very quickly, though, on Mull. I don't think he's quite going to get there in time for the Tiergarten at the end of the lap, although he's close. Look at this. He's got so much speed compared to Mull. He's going to... Oh, no, not give it a go. He's going to have to do it turn one if he gets a good enough exit here out the final few corners. Here he goes. How's your exit? It's good. Putnam might well have a chance here in towards turn one if he's brave enough on the brakes. Of course, on lower downforce, you're less inclined to go late on the brakes like that and take a risk, because there's a high chance you'll go off. But we'll put them, give it a go. Outside line in towards turn one. Mull gives it a bit of a defence in towards turn one, and now into the section where he will prevail. Mull has held on well here. Now he just needs to pull enough of a gap to hold on by the end of the final lap.
Yeah, and it's almost deja vu. Hernandez opened up over a second gap on the Dottingaho, and now all of a sudden we've come back in onto the Grand Prix circuit, and Stas has got the gap down below a second. It's 7/10 at the moment. You see the Putnam Mole still materialising there, still glad. Look how close Putnam is this time around. That mole's got to be careful, because he's going to get absolutely eaten alive very, very soon here. Putnam's on a little bit of a mission here again.
Certainly is. As he makes his way down in towards the hairpin, the Dunlop hairpin at the bottom of the circuit. I think it's the lowest point quite, but it's the lowest point on the Grand Prix circuit anyway. A lot of Nordschleife to contend with, quite apart from that. Through the Schumacher S, they go. One of the few places you can pick up slowdowns on this layout, other than the Mercedes Arena, of course, where there is a bit of tarmac runoff around there in certain places. But then through these sweepers, look how Putnam loses time just as they switch from one direction to the other. The change of direction just difficult for Putnam there in fifth position. Further behind, Hernandez is being caught by Stas in the corners as well. As Dilks has gone off. Dilks and Green. Oh no, they're both off here at the entrance to the Nordschleife. What on earth has gone on here? Dilks is carrying on, but his car is horrifically damaged. Green seemingly is slow to a crawl, and all of a sudden there's podium positions up for grabs. Green has gone back to pit lane. He's had enough for the afternoon. Here comes Mo. Oh dear, he's going to have to get past Dilks there, who very nearly slid straight into him. Putnam's going to go through as well, and suddenly these two are battling for a podium.
How tables can turn within a matter of seconds. Stas and Hernandez here, but Dean Dilks and Matt Green, whatever they did, we'll have a look back, but you can see Dilks' car is... Yeah, the wing looks like... Well, it ain't like the others. Let's just put it that way. It's not straight. Stas is in now the situation here. He's caught back up with Hernandez, but I think it might be too late, because we're on that run out down to Arenberg at the moment, and this should give Hernandez the big oomph to pull away. You can see he's opening up 2.5, 2.6 just about. So Hernandez should escape at this point, but it's whether or not he can hold on to Stas once they go through past Arenberg.
On the hill they go, in towards Schwedenkreuz for those two, and Putnam couldn't get through there either. Stas has stayed quite close. Down here at the section he's not quite as strong in because of his setup, but this is not going to help. But having Dilts in the way through the corners is really not going to help. He'll be hoping to get through before Adnan Frost, but that's not going to happen. He needs to have these twistier sections cleared as Stas if he wants to really utilise them with the car setup he's got, and unfortunately with this he's not going to be able to. Look at how they're queuing up here for 4th place. It is a traffic jam now through this corner, and Dan Kosik's going to be loving this. He's going to be closing in very quickly. Now Dilts is going to get out of the way, but Stas has lost out on a few corners he could have gained on there.
Yeah, Dilts didn't exactly make that easy, did he? He made it as hard as physically possible. He was still defending like he was still going to be able to hold on to the place. There was no chance this smashed up car like that was going to be able to hold on. But he definitely gave it a go. Chase Petterjohn is now just going to go and get past, well, I say get past John Amico. Over they go, yeah, through the right hand. Chase Petterjohn goes through. But Hernandez now is in a world of pain. He's got to defend his life off for this final lap to make sure he can keep Stas behind him until they get out of Burberg, at least on that run up into the carousel.
Going to be very interesting to see what happens here. Down in towards Exmuller they go. Stas looking up the inside, and Dilts now finally has given up, by the way. Finally he's given up the ghost, and he's down onto pit lane with Green, the driver he crashed with on that final lap. Stas is so close on the way towards Burberg, but this is not a section where you need a lot of downforce. In fact, you need the opposite. I'm afraid Curry Stas is going to lose a lot of time here.
Yeah, right, so he hits it out about nearly teetering to 1.6. Let's see what sort of speed Hernandez has got in that car and whether or not he can get it out. He needs at least 2.5, 3 attempts, I would say, before they start going into the carousel. You got it 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. He's opening it up enough, but he's got to make sure he buries every single corner and put that wide HPD in the middle of the racetrack. Put it in the racetrack, in the middle. Don't give Stas a sniff, because with Stas's grip, he's going to eat you up. So you've got to make sure he's got that car in the right place. Make it as difficult as possible for Stas to get through.
Oh, that was a bit of a slide there from Hernandez right out of the Starstrucker, and he's going to have nowhere to go, Stas. Absolutely nowhere to go. Even in these very low cars, you can't be going around the top of the banking, I'm afraid, and so he's backed out of that one. In towards the left-hander they go, up the top of the hill towards Horak, the highest point in this circuit, with the sweepers, and now Stas has got to make the difference. He's got to make a daring overtake somewhere, pull a margin, and hope that he can hang on to 4th place.
Yeah, he's got to try and do what Dean Dilts did over Matt Green on lap 2. He's got to try and get through in this section. Don't know where he's going to be able to do it, though, because Hernandez is opening up again. It's quite a fast section, mind you. It's not slow. So Hernandez is doing the right thing and clearing away as best as he possibly can, because once he hits the dot and O, Stas has got no response. But he's got to try and do something, and there isn't many corners, should we say, before they get there, Ewan. So he's going to have to try, but I can't see it working out.
No, it's going to be difficult. Stas is going to be closing in on the right-hand side here. He's looking around the outside, but couldn't do it. Down the hill, through the Flansgott, they go. He's crawling all over him. Absolutely crawling all over him, but can't get anywhere here. Down the hill they go. Through into the Stefan Belafes. Stas has got to be a bit worried about Kosik as well, by the way. A 2.5 seconds behind, not very far away at all, and he's got a lot of straight-line speed to give as well, so we'll see what he can do at the very end here. Meanwhile, further up front, just going under the Bilstein Bridge, it's Pat Labrosse who took pole position here in the HPDs, in the Tail Racing Ring Runners, but it looks like he is going to go on to take the race win as well. Through the Tiergarten for the final time, Pat Labrosse, for the first time this season, is a race winner in the Tail Racing Ring Runners for Season 8. A fantastic performance from him. Further behind, Stas got all over the back of Hernandez there through Gauenkopf, but it didn't come to anything. And now he's right in the slipstream. That might help him hold off Dan Kosik, but he's got a double slipstream here as Kosik, the champion. And here he's going now on the left-hand side. He's going to get past Stas very easily. He's got to tuck back in to the slipstream of Hernandez here maybe and try and get back through on him as well. In towards the Tiergarten they go. He's going to have to be very, very late if he's going to do it here. And he I don't think he's going to quite manage it. He's all over the place there on the brakes. Down into the corner they go. And he's got the position, 5th place. Kosick, oh, that's gone a bit wide. Here comes Stas again. He's used that downforce. He's got his top 5 back again. And in the end, the 3 of them retain their positions that they started the lap with. Just about. Dan Kosick throwing away a top 5 at the end with Scott Sadler just in behind. The AM winner by over a minute in the HPDs.
Yeah, Sadler comes over the line, takes the AMs. Kosick's going to be kicking himself. He only had to plant it on the apex coming out of Tiergarten, and he didn't. He ran in deep, opened up the inside, and it all went wrong. We're just going to wait for the likes of Pettijohn, Amico, Hightower, Patrick Misch, Evan Krautfeld still back out there, but a long way round the other side of the circuit. Dylan Hesselink is literally quite not far into this part at all, so we have to wait for him to come over the line. But yeah, Dan Kosick's going to be kicking himself on that one.
Hightower versus Misch is going to be one to watch for the last spot inside the top 10 here later on, as Pettijohn's going to finish 2nd and Amico 3rd in AM. But here it is Hightower versus Misch. I haven't been following these guys since they got together, but I don't really know who's going to have the downforce advantage. It's so pronounced in this car, the difference in the downforce and therefore the difference in the straight line speed, and that was very wide from Hightower, suggesting that maybe he hasn't got very much downforce on. But let's see, Misch is going to go flying past him on the right-hand side, and if he does have less downforce on, then he'll be flying away now from Hightower. He pulls over to the left-hand side now, trying to break the slipstream. Looks like Hightower's going to come back again here, 1/4 of a second, although the gap's still creeping up. 3/10 of a second. It doesn't look like Hightower's quite got it, I'm afraid. His exit onto the back straight wasn't good enough, and it looks like he's going to lose out here on the top 10 place. Pat Misch has done a good job to recover, really, after that crash he had at the end of lap 2, or towards the end of lap 2. He's managed to get 4th place in the AM class and a top 10 overall. That is a good recovery.
Yeah, it is, after we saw him literally decimate his car, of course. But you can see the speed difference clearly. Misch had a better top end than Hightower. Hightower got the grip. Krautfeld's coming down the dot in the hoe, going to finish at least. He's going to be in 12th place after his earlier incident, which we will have a look back with as well. So, yeah, lots happening in this one, but good win in the end for Labrosse.
Yep, it was a good win. Over 30 seconds, and might be the biggest win we have this season, although we don't know yet because most of the races haven't happened yet. So we'll check back on that. There goes Krautfeld over the line. 12th place for him after winning last week in the FF 1600s. A bit of a downturn and disappointment for him, I'm afraid. In terms of those who have done well in both races, Rick Putnam's the only driver to have been on the podium in both. Corey Stas has been in the top 5 in both. Hernandez has as well. So those 3 will be up towards the front, I would have thought. But Saslink's just disappeared. So he's not. We're not going to be waiting for him. We'll just be waiting for Stephen Johnson. But yeah, Putnam, Stas, and Hernandez, the only in the top 5 in both races so far. It's been pretty unpredictable actually these first 2 weeks.
Yeah, Dave Mo's been in and around, hasn't he, at the same time. So we've got kind of a top 5 really, 55. You know, they're all in and around that. Putnam, Stas, Hernandez, Mo. Could be an interesting one. For me, it depends how Putnam goes and if Labrosse is going to... Stephen Johnson, be careful. If Labrosse is going to turn up every week, that's going to be a question mark, of course. It's going to be consistency, I think, this season. Yeah.
We'll see who comes out on top. We'll bring you every round, of course, right the way to the 5th of March, which is the final round, by the way. That's Duck Week. You can't take your drop week, and you only know what car we're using 30 minutes before the session opens, which is at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday evenings. That's when the practice starts for an hour, and then the race starts not long after that, all done by 10 p.m. Eastern time, in case you're interested. Oh dear. Hello. That's a bit late on the brakes from Stephen Johnson, but he's going to get over the line. And he's going to finish 13th on this occasion. He is 5th place in the AM standings at the moment. He'll probably drop down from there, though, at the end of this race. Pat Labrosse who wins, though, by 31.6 seconds ahead of Dave Mull, who was caught by Rick Putnam towards the end but wasn't overtaken. Hernandez held off Stas, who regained that top 5 from Dan Kosick, ahead of Scott Sadler, who wins in the hours by over a minute from Chase Petterjohn, John Amico, who finishes in the top 3. Pat Mace rounds out the top 10 after his crash. Jason Hightower just missing out. Evan Kratward and Dean Diltz were the final ones to finish on the lead lap. Matt Green, Stephen Johnson, Dylan Hessling didn't make it on the lead lap, unfortunately for them. So, before we go, let's have a look at the replays of this one, going right the way back to the very start of the race and how things begun in this one. Rick Putnam was down the inside and already made contact with Jason Hightower there, I'm afraid, and looks a little bit like his fault. Then he drove straight into the side of somebody else as it all kicked off through turn number 2. But yeah, Jason Hightower hasn't been having good lap ones in this season.
No, definitely not, unfortunately for him. But yeah, that was the result of that. We've got the Scott Sadler, where he's gone off the side of the circuit, was sitting in 4th really at this moment in time, and then the back end just comes round and he goes and visits the gravel track.
And would still go on to win the race, of course. So a good recovery from Sadler after this spin that dropped him way down the field to the pretty much the back, actually. Then he brought all that gravel on the circuit, which was annoying.
Very much so. It spits up in your face. This is Stephen Johnson sent him back into pit lane.
Dear, oh dear. You don't see that very often. These cars are normally very well planted at high speed, but he smacked the wall there just before Hatzenbach, and so that was part of the reason why he was so far down. John Amico eventually got a podium in this race, but I'm afraid not without an incident at the carousel, which is pretty difficult in this car.
Yeah, didn't even know that was possible. I didn't know that was possible, to be honest, to do that in this car. Hightower had a couple of off tracks here. Now, I don't know if they were just little ones, but... Oh,
really?
No, it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't a little one at all.
No.
Ouch.
And of course, he had to try and get it back again, and he went off the circuit multiple times trying to get the car back. Scraped himself down the right-hand side of the wall there on the exit of Brunchen, and there you go. Oh, that will have done the left-hand side of the car as well. So eventually he had to return to the pit lane.
It's Dylan Hessling. You see they picked up gravel now, and he's gone wide. Now, the interesting thing for me is John Amico got past, and then not long up the road makes an error. So I'm going to try and see if we can find out where Amico made that error. But he got cleared Hesselink, and then he has another problem. Oh, there we go. And then Hesselink goes back through in the background there. Chase Petterjohn had a incident as well from 9th place.
Yep, just a little bit wide before the siphon.
Oh, it's not stopping.
Straight on the brakes. You could see that was going wrong for a while out. And he just lightly tapped the wall there, so got away with it on that occasion. And Hesselink also going for a spin, a slightly different manner through the siphon, but still same outcome. Dearie me, and then he reverses onto the curb. That's why he had to drop back to pit lane. This is what we saw live with Matt Mace, or most of it anyway, as we suspected. Just ran wide into the curb on the outside line and spun into the inside wall just before the Kleiner carousel. And so that dropped him back to the pit lane, although he would still finish in the top 10. Jason Hightower, he is on his recovery through the chicane.
Wow.
Oh, dear.
Where are you going?
Yeah, don't see people end up over there very often.
No, not from there anyway. But again, did you see where his rear left was on that one? Hold on, let me just go back to the Hightower one. You have a look at where his rear left, all right, rear right as you're looking at the car. There, curb. And then it just goes bang, goes round, unfortunately. This is Krautfield's one. We just caught the back end of it live onto the curb, which is what we said. Bang. And then that's it. His car looks like a hovercraft.
Very hard hit on the wall. And he knew immediately that car wasn't going to make it back. It was only about a third of the way through the lap anyway. So it would have been... well, he had to go back to pit lane, as we saw. Now, this was... on the last lap, Dean Diltz going for a spin, and then Matt Green arriving on the scene and smashing straight into the side of him. Both of them doing each other a lot of damage there in what I would call actually quite a small bit of contact.
Oh, yeah, that's what we thought initially. It didn't look like it was dramatic, but you can see for Matt Green, it clearly was. This is the last part of Dean Diltz. As we said, his car was already smashed up. He then jumped back to the pits after this, and bang, around he went. So unfortunately for him, Dylan Hesselink gets the final crash of this round. This put him back in pit lane. This was on the final lap of the race.
Looks like he's already crashed from here, doesn't he? Actually, he's crabbing all over the place, trying to get home.
I'm wondering if this might have been...
oh dear, that is certainly what it was, yeah. Ouch. Down at the siphon. It looked like he almost forgot that was a corner there, and he just didn't brake.
that was the weirdest thing, wasn't it? He just looked like he, well, just missed it. It was like, I forgot where I am on a racetrack, and oh dear, I've got to turn. Very weird.
Like, a bit of roadworks you've forgotten about, and you nearly go flying into all the...
Oh, yeah, I've done that before. Not flying into them, just completely forgot that they were there. So there we go. But that wraps it up for this round.
Yes, round 2 of the Tower Racing Ring Race. A good round, but still very unpredictable. As far as where this season's going to go, we just don't know at the moment. We haven't got another prototype round until the GTPs 12th of February, so that's over a month away now, and many rounds in between now and then. So we haven't seen prototype racing again for a little while, but it was a good addition here. This race actually took place on New Year's Day, by the way, in the evening. But yeah, a good addition to the series, and still not telling us an awful lot about what the rest of this season might have in store.
No, definitely not. And, you know, we've got a very interesting calendar going forward now. Don't forget, next round obviously would be the Legends. And then they've got the supercars, the new ones. Oh, that's going to be interesting, which is going to take place this Wednesday coming. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how these guys are going to get on in the new Gen 3 supercars.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to that. But between now and then, we'll be back for the Legends 34 Ford on the north side. For the first time, we'll be using the shortest of the layouts. The first time of 3, we'll be using the shortest of the layouts, just the north side with no Grand Prix circuit. Very much hope you can join us then. I've been Ewan alongside James Parfitt. Until we see you for round 3, it's goodbye for now.